So here we are again. Another superhero movie. Another dysfunctional protagonist who masks deep emotional trauma with snarky one-liners and an unhealthy obsession with 1980s pop music. They team up with a ragtag group of lovable misfits who aren't your typical superhero team, because that's apparently the only story Hollywood knows how to tell anymore. Together, they'll save the world, find their surrogate family, and learn that the real treasure was the friends they made along the way. If this sounds familiar, congratulations, you've been paying attention for the last decade. The trailer for the new Supergirl movie dropped recently, and I have to say, it's impressive in its own way. It manages to be the most James Gunn movie ever made without actually being written or directed by James Gunn. That takes talent, or at least a very detailed instruction manual. What we're looking at here is essentially a comprehensive checklist of every tired James Gunn trope that's been recycled through superhero cinema for years. And before you ask, yes, I'm already exhausted. Let's start with the dog. There's always a dog in these films because, apparently, nothing says connect with your audience quite like a cute furry animal. It's the fastest shortcut to manufactured sympathy since the invention of the sad piano key. Next up, we've got the obligatory 1980s pop soundtrack. This time it's Call Me by Blondie, which, fun fact, was originally written for American Gigolo, a movie about a male prostitute. Interesting choice there, team. Real subtle. Look, I get it. James Gunn loves his classic pop music, but after Stranger Things trapped us all in a Kate Bush torture chamber on repeat, can we please acknowledge that this nostalgic needle drop nonsense has officially jumped the shark? It's not cool anymore. It's not quirky. It's just lazy. And speaking of lazy, wait until you see what they've done with the actual character of Supergirl. But first, let me tell you about the screenwriter they hired for this $200 million project, because that's where the story gets really interesting. Now let's talk about our leading lady. Millie Alcock plays Kara, and she was genuinely great in House of the Dragon. She's clearly talented. But here, she's playing a drunken, cynical, messed up party girl who's going through a midlife crisis at 23. Because apparently, being young, attractive, and possessing godlike superpowers is just so incredibly difficult to cope with. My heart truly bleeds. The character design raises some questions, too. Kara's supposed to be this powerful alien who can fly through space and survive planetary explosions, but she's wearing a trench coat on a bus. A bus. Let me repeat that. A character who can fly through space at supersonic speeds is taking public transportation, and she needs a coat because... Oh right, so she can dramatically remove it before a fight scene. That tracks. The action sequences look exactly like what you'd expect. Accommodating stunt performers lining up to get demolished, while our hero delivers that trademark James Gunn snark. This does not look like this is going to end well for you guys. Hilarious. Who wrote this again? Ah, yes, Anna Nogueira. Not exactly a household name in screenwriting. In fact, when you check her IMDb page, you'll find this is quite the leap for her resume. It reminds me of when Marvel used to hire small-time indie directors for massive blockbusters. Directors who'd be too intimidated to push back against studio mandates. Funny how that works. You hand a project this size to someone who's going to follow the formula without question, and surprise, surprise, you get exactly what the formula promises to deliver. Nothing more, nothing less. But here's what really bothers me about this whole thing, and it's bigger than just one movie or one director's style. Stick with me here, because this is where we need to talk about what these films are actually taking away from audiences. There's a word that haunts every James Gunn production, and that word is sincerity. Not because these movies have it, but because they're completely devoid of it. Everything operates behind layers of irony, sarcasm, and self-deprecating humor. It's like watching an insecure teenager who's so terrified of being vulnerable that they turn everything into a joke before anyone else can. You can't criticize them because they're already mocking themselves. But that protective shield of irony creates an enormous problem. You can't invest in anything. Not the characters, not the stakes, not the emotional beats. It all feels like setup for the next punchline. And that makes for a profoundly hollow viewing experience. Say what you will about Zack Snyder. And trust me, there's plenty to criticize about his approach to storytelling. But the man commits. His films might be slow, bloated, and overly serious, but they're sincere. You can tell he genuinely cares about what he's putting on screen. There's an honesty to it, even when it doesn't work. I saw a poll on social media a few weeks ago asking whether people preferred Man of Steel or James Gunn's Superman. Man of Steel won by 90%. Let that sink in. That's not people suddenly deciding Man of Steel was a masterpiece. That's people rejecting what Gunn represents, the polish, the formula, the manufactured quirkiness. When given the choice between flawed sincerity and perfected cynicism, audiences will choose sincerity every time. So when I watch the Supergirl trailer, what I feel most is weariness. It's too much of everything I'm already tired of. The forced humor, the overbearing soundtrack, the desperate attempts to be edgy while following a completely safe formula, the green screen visual overload, the predictable story beats we've seen a dozen times before. It's a party that ended 5 years ago, but nobody bothered to turn off the music. If Superman, with its historic marketing blitz, could barely scrape 600 million worldwide, what chance does this derivative retread actually have? The box office will tell us soon enough whether audiences are still buying what this formula is selling or not. For now, I'm tapping out. This trailer made something inside me tired that I didn't even know could get tired. And I suspect I'm not alone in feeling that way. That's all I've got. Now go and leave me alone.